While getting out, I noticed this place was hot and abandoned too. Not a soul in sight. Just a hot wind blowing over the tall, dry grass. The lake looked cool and refreshing. Very tempting. I would have liked to gone for a swim, but needed to be on my way. I was doing my pre-flight when I heard whistling. I turned around to see a herd of cattle stomping across the runway, being led by a very tall Maasai warrior. He was dressed in a long red and dirty cloak. He waved a stick at the cows in an attempt to keep them moving. He was about to stop them on the runway for a little grazing till he saw me standing next to my plane. So he moved them to the other side of the landing surface. That's nice, I thought to myself. I'll probably hit a cow on the takeoff roll. Now how do you explain that to the insurance company? I finished my checks and climbed into the airplane for the 4th time today and started the engine. I started to taxi towards the runway and was making my radio calls. With radio in hand while taxiing, I saw some large rocks hidden by the grass just ahead. I was headed right for them. I yelled into the mic that was keyed. I threw the microphone down, slammed my foot on the pedals, trying to get the wheels away from the rocks. And I hear a as the plane hit the rocks and came to an abrupt stop. This can't be happening, I shouted. Then I thought for a second. This could very easily happen to me. Why not? Everything else has. I've been bounced by turbulence, in 20 miles off course, land at the wrong airfield, can't pronounce where I am, sender thinks I'm incompetent, and almost kill myself taking pictures, and now crash into a rock. I'm afraid to find out what God has planned for me next. I shut everything off and noticed that the Maasai was now watching me. I felt like giving him the bird but kept my cool as I undid my seatbelt. Now the seat belts in a Cessna are not like your ordinary car seat belts. These belts have 2 shoulder straps that go over your head and a buckle that is brought across your lap. All 4 straps clip together over your waist. It looks like something the astronauts use in the Apollo missions. Once locked, you can't move your middle section without undoing the whole mess first. Anyway, I got out of the airplane and felt that hot wind again and put the keys in my pocket. The tall African man and his cows were still looking at me. Anyone who has been to Kenya can imagine it. There stands a man with his red cloak pulled over his head, legs crossed and leaning on a spear 10 feet tall with his cows close at hand. It was a sight that you would only see on a postcard, but I was too pissed off to take a picture. I checked the tires closely for punctures and kicked the rock out of the way, stubbing my toe, of course. I was between a rock and a hard place. I couldn't move the plane forward because of the rocks. I couldn't move the plane backwards because planes don't taxi backwards. I went to the left wing and pushed the plane around. When I was straight with the world again, I jumped into the seat and slid it forward for comfort and pulled the belt over my lap. I then pulled the shoulder harness over my head, slapped the clip, and pulled the belt tight. Now for the start engine check. Radio's off, set throttle, mixture set, carb heat, battery on, ready to start. Where's the key? It's in my pocket. Okay then. Battery off, astronaut belt unclipped, slid the seat back, opened the door, got out, and fished around in my pocket for the key. I then climbed back into the airplane, closed the door, moved the seat forward, clipped the belt again, battery on, and started the engine. I did all this in about 10 seconds. It was only a few minutes before I was rolling down the runway and off the ground. That Maasai warrior had the same look on his face as the other African at whatever it is. Once in the air, I called Nairobi Approach to let them know I was airborne. Nairobi Approach, this is Cessna 5 Yankee Alpha Zulu Whiskey, 5 miles east of Lake Magadi, passing 6,500 feet.
Nairobi Approach, roger, current altimeter 29902.
Altimeter 29902, Alpha Zulu Whiskey. I figured it was only right that I give them fair warning I was coming their way. It would give them time to prepare for whatever ill-fated arrival I might end up with. You know, crash trucks, emergency equipment, evacuate the city and airport, that sort of thing. Never can be too careful. The half-hour flight back was uneventful, thank God. As I passed the Ngong Hills, I could see rain that was headed towards Nairobi. I was lucky to be getting back before the weather worsened. I switched my radio frequency from Nairobi Approach to Wilson Tower. Wilson Tower, this is Cessna 5 Yankee Alpha Zulu Whiskey, 5 miles to the west, inbound for landing.
Cessna 5 Yankee Alpha Zulu Whiskey, Wilson Tower, make right downwind, runway 32, altimeter 29902.
Roger. Altimeter 29902, right downwind for runway 32, Alpha Zulu Whiskey. I joined the pattern about 6,500 feet and turned to final for runway 32.
Cessna 5 Yankee Alpha Zulu Whiskey, Wilson Tower. Cleared to land, runway 32, please.
I was extremely happy when my wheels softly touched down on the ground at Wilson Airport. It was a perfect landing. I taxied to the parking area and shut down the engine. I sat in the airplane and thought about the day's events. Definitely one of the most interesting days of my life. On the car ride home, I realized that through all the excitement, I forgot to turn in my arrival papers to customs. That means Nairobi Center is unaware that I even made it back. It'd be no surprise if they're still out there looking for me. That's okay. Let them look. Oh, by the way, I still haven't found that stupid mountain. They must have moved it.